One of the dangers of constantly working in the wood shop is the exposure to the sawdust and the finer dust particles that can irritate your throat and then cause irritation of your eyes and even shortness of breath. Having a fan that you can move around in your shop will greatly reduce the amount of dust you inhale, and especially if you attach a filter to the back of it, it can reduce the chances of you inhaling the small, finer dust particles. I built this box fan with an attachable dust filter at the back of it to hopefully solve these problems. The filter is just placed in the back of the box fan, so what happens is the dust particles will be absorbed into here and hopefully gets filtered out, and then I'll be able to breathe cleaner air. I could have had the fan alone just by itself, just with a filter duct tape to the back of it, but I decided to build this encasing around it here, just so I can have a filter that I can easily remove to replace it whenever it gets clogged. But I'll show you real quick in this video how I built this box fan filter.
Now I had a bunch of plywood left over for one of the cabinets I built months ago. It's the mini shop cabinet, and there'll be a link down in the description below just in case you want to check that video out. Now the dimensions of this box fan will be 20 3/4 by 20 3/4, and I built it that way so the fan can fit in. And then the filter, I have a special way of attaching it in the end. I built it in a way that the filter will be perfectly snug with the fan so that no dust will come in by accident. After I had all the dimensions set, the only thing left to do was now cut out the pieces using my brand new straight edge, a poplar board. That's right, I got rid of the walnut. It was about time. With all that cutting done, I was left with all the pieces I need to make this build. Now the next thing I want to do is just do a dry fit, just to make sure that everything fit together properly, and then hopefully I measured everything correct. This is what it's going to look like essentially without the fan or filter inside of it. Now the filter that I used was a 1500 MER or MER rating, and it actually traps the fine dust particles. I got this because it's perfect for the wood shop, but unfortunately these were not cheap, and I learned that the hard way. So right now I'm just marking out where I'm putting the filter on for the board, and if you know the exact distance I should have it from the fan, let me know down in the comments below, because I couldn't figure out exactly, so I just put it a couple inches away from the fan and have a couple inches in the back, just so it's balanced and nothing is tipping over in the build. Now I actually bought this bit that actually pre-drills the countersink holes and the pilot holes, so I figured why not try this out for the first time in this build. It took a little time to get adjusted to this bit, but after a while I figured out how to countersink everything and make sure I got the pilot holes in the right spot. So I just have to clamp on the rails right now, use my bit, drill it in, and then hopefully this filter will fit in if all my measurements were correct. And here's the moment of truth, seeing if all my measurements came to fruition, and it was a snug fit, but I got it on. And since it's nice and snug, at least know there won't be any air pockets or gaps in between this filter and the fan. So if I get this on eventually, the filter fan will be half done. Now I can actually turn my attention to the fan. What I'm doing is removing the back guard just so that there's nothing impeding the fan and the filter. I don't recommend you doing this at home. This is a safety precaution, obviously, so if you do try this, keep the back filter on. Now the clip was actually going to get in the way of building the box, or I actually didn't want to route out another slot for the clip, so I ended up taking this clip off too, just to make sure the fan can fit in the box no problem. Now that I have all the pieces ready to go, it's finally time to screw them all together and make sure they fit properly. So doing another dry fit just to make sure everything goes in smoothly. Then using that Amara build driver, I don't know the name, but using that build driver again just to make sure I get everything nice and countersunk in, so I can hopefully be done with this fan sometime soon. Everything is now screwed in together, hopefully it'll stay, and now I just have to figure out how I'm getting this fan in. Now with this knob, it's clearly in the way. I can cut out a slot, or I can try and use my router and cut out a circle in it, so I use the router to cut the circle in it. Obviously. Well, maybe not obviously. So I'm starting the router off with the little hole in the center, and I'm just going to keep going around in a circle until I hopefully get something that looks like a circle. I had the wood plate there to give me a little template, but now it's just going around and around until this hopefully fits the knob. I really hope it did. Now the circle's in place, the knob fits in it perfectly, well perfectly enough for me. So now all I'll do is make space for the filter. So it's rinse and repeat, setting up a straight edge to use my router at the top. Rinsing and repeating, making a little slot and groove so the filter can go in easily, no problem. And with that done, I can slide the filter in, test this out, and see if it actually picks up dust. I was hoping it did, that's why I wanted to build it, so my optimism is very low, but you never know. Now putting this filter into the slot actually was a bit challenging, probably the hardest part of the build, so I really did make it a tight fit because I didn't want any dust to seep through. So with a little bit of hammering and jamming the filter in, I got it to seat properly, so at least I know it's not going anywhere. Now replacing it is another story. I will cross that road in 3 months, so we will see what happens after 3 months of using this filter. Now, all that's left is to put the fan in, move the plug out the way, and then I think this is finally done. It took almost maybe 3-4 hours to build this thing, so it's obviously something you can knock out in the day. But now, with all this done, I finally have a box fan filter I can have in my small shop to hopefully filter out all the finer dust particles and just make sure that I don't get a lot of dust just in my face.
And that's essentially my box fan filter all done and complete. The only thing I might do is cut off the back end. I have to see how much weight I need in the back to make sure that it doesn't topple over and that the center of gravity is hopefully right in the middle. But I can turn this on and it can filter out the dust. And it's very windy too. Thank you for watching and I'll catch you guys later.